meeting going to sign off the accounts. Okay, I make it 2 o'clock on the big clock, as I used to say when we were all a bit younger. So welcome everyone to this extraordinary board meeting where we sign off the report and accounts as best we're able to. Just before we get going, I'd like to thank everyone who's been involved in the production of the report and accounts. And it starts off with a phenomenal amount of work from our finance colleagues, but then it incorporates all of our communication teams, lots of work from our external auditors, which we'll come back to, and then the audit committee to make sure that they're happy as well. So thank you to everyone for their enormous efforts. We have some apologies for absence. Sarah Collette, Paramjit Gill and Sophie Gilks, as well as Glenn Burley, who's been meeting the Secretary of State this morning, so he's got a valid excuse. So a pretty straightforward agenda today, so we'll be rattling through it at a reasonable pace because I think it's all pretty straightforward. And we start off with some obvious items for approval, and the first are the annual accounts. So Kim, do you want to present these? We've obviously all had the opportunity to read them. I know there are a few amendments still to be made, but over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So yes, we've just actually taken through the audit committee through the set of accounts. You'll see that these are actually the draft accounts that we've submitted. The audit's been progressing well, and we got a number of minor changes to make to the accounts, but they're mainly disclosure items or presentational issues, which we've shared with the audit committee this morning. None of the changes affect the bottom line, so we are still reporting £1,000. And we went through the key items with the audit today around some of the sort of larger items really of note through the account, and they've got no issues to raise. So just wanted to assure the members of the board that they're happy that these are, are an accurate reflection of our financial position moving forward. We also had a discussion around just the audit itself, and there was some good lessons learned from last year following a good workshop between us and the auditors, and that's really reaped rewards in terms of the audit approach this year. There's a few things that we can still do better upon for this year, but generally the auditors were really pleased with the state of the accounts. We have got a log of the changes that we will be making to the accounts. There are some that we do not make, and that's itemised in the ISA 260, which is the auditor's report. The intention is that over the next week we will finalise those changes, and we will circulate both a final version of the accounts as well as a final ISA 260 report from the auditors for completeness before final submission, which is on the 30th of June. Happy to take questions.
Thank you, Kim. Just before I invite questions, Richard, as Chair of Audit Committee, is there anything you'd like to add to?
I would like to add, just to confirm to the board, we talked about at the last board meeting, we've got control total, just the right side of break-even, 71,000. So we're not loss-making this year, and that's a big credit to everybody, the exec team and Kim, and getting this the right way. The external audit have done their audit. The materiality, which means that when something is wrong, if it's over that limit, it needs to be changed, is 8 million. And everything we're talking about is just disclosure and minor things. So there's going to be no risk to the accounts being changed. There've been some modification and wording changes and late certifications and things like that, but nothing's going to materially affect the accounts. Then the observations I'd make on the accounts, I'd encourage you to read them and the governance statement, which we're going to discuss next. Just a couple of things. One is the impact of the hospital on the local economy. We're paying 280 million into wages in the local economy, which is a huge number basically. So we just need to remember that. And if you look at the details on page 43, there's detailed stats on the number of admissions to ED. And if you look at those numbers, we've had a 50% increase in 2 years and the number of people coming in through the front door. And I've seen the graphs, but actually looking at the detail, have a chance to read through it and doing that. So I think that's all good to look through. But well done to the team and also the corporate team putting the report together.
Thank you, Richard. But in terms of the audit committee, you're entirely happy with the accuracy of the annual report and therefore recommending it.
We have voted for it and recommend it and the governance statements to this committee.
Thank you. Any questions from colleagues? We've all had the opportunity to read. A number of us have been involved intimately in this production. Any questions from board colleagues? So if you're not happy to approve the annual report and accounts, could you please raise a digital hand? Okay, super. Duly approved, subject to those final amendments which Kim, you'll keep us all briefed on. We then move, and Richard mentioned it, to the annual governance statement, which is on page 77 of the admin control pack. In Glenn's absence, Adam, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
No, just a point that we've had a number of very minor audit comments raised on the report in the same way as we have with the accounts. Generally wording changes in the report or minor detail that's changed since the draft report was written. So, for example, the report refers to the maternity inspection report being awaited, which we received in draft next week. So we've made those minor adjustments to the statement, which will be circulated. But the report itself will have no material changes, and so I commend that to the board to approve.
Thank you. And as Richard said, that was signed off by audit committee again this morning. Any questions on the annual governance statement from colleagues? Again, if you're not happy to approve, could you please raise a digital hand? I assume that's you not wanting to.
I was just going to add that I would recommend colleagues read pages 4, 5 and 6, which are the risks to the trust and quality. So as just before you put it down, just read those. I recommend it, and it was had the support. Yeah, I mean, stating the obvious, Richard, all colleagues should have read all the board papers before they've been sent around. We don't read them when we just get them at the board meeting. So I'm taking the fact that all colleagues have read all of the papers. So if you're not happy to approve the governance statement, could you please raise a digital hand? Okay, super, duly approved. Thank you very much. So I think then we're on to any other business. Any other business from board? Any questions from governors and members of the public? Could you please raise a digital hand? Okay, so another successful year. Thank you, as I said, Kim and team and everyone involved in the production of it, the audit committee as well. I would just like to say to our auditor friends, we've been working with you many years. We have had a couple of hiccups over the last couple of years. I do hope we don't have hiccups going forwards. But thank you very much for your endeavours as well. That brings this meeting to a close. And so I say good bye to governors and to board colleagues. Can you please stay on the line? Thank you.
Okay, just making sure we've got with us who we want with us. Kim, your hand went up.
Yeah, sorry, we have a separate meeting request for the confidential. I'm just making sure, are we staying on this one or jumping onto the other call?
Let's jump off this one, go into the other one just in case. See you in a second.